They say loneliness smells like old paper and withered flowers. They say it sounds like the echo of your own footsteps in an empty hallway. For 46 years, I feared that sound. For 46 years, I lived in an orchestra, the hiss of a boiling kettle, the slamming of doors, the eternal questions. Where are my socks? Catherine, why is the TV so loud? Did you hear what the neighbors are saying? My life was constant background noise. And then silence arrived. At first, it was sharp, like a shard of glass. But now it is my most reliable sanctuary. My name is Catherine. I am 83, and for 15 years now, I have lived completely alone. When people find out, they put on that specific mask, a mix of pity and hidden fear. They ask, "Aren't you lonely, dear?" They expect me to admit defeat, but I tell them the truth. No, I am free. They don't understand. To them, loneliness is when no one chose you. To me, it's when I finally chose myself. That was my first sign, the value of silence. I used to think conversation was the glue that held the world together. Now, I value silence more than any talk. Have you ever listened to the world waking up? At 6 in the morning, the air on this terrace tastes like possibility. I suddenly realized how exhausting conversation had been. It was a performance. A neighbor recently widowed told me the quiet was driving her crazy. I looked at her and realized silence isn't an enemy. It's a mirror. Richard was a good man, but he was a man of order. His order. He loved the cold. So I wore 3 sweaters for 46 years. After he passed, I painted this room the brightest yellow I could find. Richard said yellow was the color of the mad. Now, I wake up in the center of a sunflower. This is the second sign: complete control over your space. I eat when I'm hungry. I leave a dirty dish in the sink just because I can. It's a manifesto of my own will. It took time to learn to enjoy my own company. That was the third sign. At first, I felt guilty, as if I were wasting time. But then I realized I am interesting to myself. I have thoughts I never had time to finish. I started talking out loud to myself, not because I'm losing my mind, but because I've finally become a good companion to myself. I exist not because someone sees me, but because I feel my own heart beating. My garden isn't about utility anymore. It's about beauty. Richard wanted vegetables. I planted roses and lavender. Ironically, in this isolation, my relationship with my children became purer. When my daughter Eliza visits, I truly listen to her. I have the emotional energy now because I haven't spent it all on daily friction. I've become a better mother because I am finally a person who has her own world. The last sign of this first stage is the disappearance of the fear of the night. Night used to be a time of anxiety. Now it's a friend. I sleep in the middle of a large bed, taking up all the space. No one snores. No one pulls the blanket. My blood pressure is like a young girl's. My doctor asks what changed. I just smile. I've dropped the weight of everyone else's moods. In this darkness, I don't feel empty. I feel whole. We all have things we bought not because we needed them, but because they were a secret promise to ourselves. This sofa is my greatest sin and my greatest liberation. I remember seeing it in a catalog 30 years ago. It was the color of ripe cherries, bold, almost indecent for our quiet gray house. I showed it to Richard. He just raised an eyebrow and said, "Catherine, it doesn't match the curtains. And besides, that color is too tiring for the eyes. Let's get something practical, beige or brown. It won't show the stains." So we bought a beige sofa. It was comfortable, high quality, and utterly soulless. For 40 years, I sat on that beige compromise, trying not to notice how my own life was becoming the same: practical, stain-resistant, and bland. 2 weeks after the funeral, I went to the furniture store. I was in black, my eyes swollen from crying, but when I saw this red velvet, I smiled for the first time in a long while. The salesman tried to offer me something calmer, something fitting for a widow's status. I just shook my head. When they delivered it and placed it in the middle of the empty living room, it looked like a challenge. It screamed, "I am here. I exist." It didn't match a single thing in this house, except my heart. Now, when I sit on it with a glass of wine, I remember that beige time. We are so afraid of tiring the eyes with bright colors that we settle for grayness that tires the soul itself. This sofa taught me the main thing. Solitude gives you the right to make your own mistakes in decor and in life. And if this is a mistake, it's the most beautiful one in the world. My eyes aren't tired. They finally started to see. Dreams don't die. They just hibernate. This was my 7th sign creative rebirth. For 46 years, I didn't hold a brush. Now I have entire days. I'm the worst student in my watercolor class, but it doesn't matter. For the first time, I'm doing something not for the result, but for the feeling of the color dissolving in the water. My mind finally has room to expand. The 9th sign came quietly. I started taking care of myself as if I were my own most honored guest. People think a lonely old woman should give up, but I cook spicy soups and wear my best dress just to read a book on the terrace. This isn't vanity, it's self-respect. When no one is watching, you realize you are worth the effort for your own sake. Then came the 10th sign, the disappearance of guilt. I used to think I was a selfish criminal for enjoying the quiet, but silence taught me the truth. Some people are like solar panels, but I am like a well. I need peace so I don't run dry. I stopped making excuses. I am not antisocial. I am practicing soul hygiene. The 11th sign is a depth I used to fear. In the hustle of family life, you live on the surface. But in solitude, you dive to the bottom. I think about big things now, meaning eternity. I felt a connection to something larger than myself. I've started to pay attention to the frost on the window and the rhythm of the rain. And here it is, the 12th sign, the final chord. I am happy, and this happiness doesn't require another person to be real. My daughter asked me yesterday, "Are you truly happy here, Mom?" And I told her, yes, because I am no longer waiting for someone else to make my day special. I am the special event. If you feel these signs, don't be afraid. You are finally ready to meet the most interesting person in your life, yourself. See you in the silence. When you become old and free, time ceases to be linear. It becomes like an ocean. You can dive into any year of your past, stay for a while, and return without even getting your feet wet. This is my 13th sign, one they don't write about in books, the ability to look at your past without regret. I used to look at these photos and feel pain for what was lost. Now I see only pages of a good book I've already read. I'm writing letters to my grandchildren now, not about wearing hats or studying hard, but about the right to be yourself. Perhaps 20 years from now, they will finally understand why Grandma Catherine clung so stubbornly to her yellow house. People often ask if I fear the future. What if I fall? What if I can't call for help? You know, solitude has a strange property. It kills petty fears. When you've learned to live with yourself, you stop fearing the unknown. I've learned to accept the limitations of my body as part of the game. My knees creak like old doors, but inside, I am lighter than I was at 20. Back then, I carried the whole world on my shoulders. Now, I carry nothing but my soul. It is the most pleasant weight I've ever felt. My solitude is not a wall between me and the world. It is a bridge. Only by being alone did I begin to truly love people. Not for what they give me, but simply because they exist. My silence gave me sight. I see meaning in simply watching the flames in the fireplace. This isn't a waste of time. This is life in its purest form, without the impurities of hustle. I want to give you one piece of advice. Don't wait until you're 83 to let yourself be happy alone. The world will try to convince you that you are a half, that you need someone to be whole. That is the great lie of our age. You were born whole. Learn to close the door. Learn to be in a room where there is no one but you and not feel the urge to run. When you are comfortable with yourself, you become invincible. Today is a wonderful day, not because anything special happened, but because I am here. I breathe. My yellow house is not a cage. It is my castle, and I am the queen who has finally decreed eternal peace. Peace with myself, with time, with God. Thank you for walking this path with me. Don't fear the silence. It isn't empty. It is full of you. Take care of yourselves. And remember, solitude is not a sentence. It is a journey home.